What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Generation Strength YouTube channel. This is part 2 of our squat series. Last week we covered everything that you need to know up to unracking the bar. We have the link somewhere in here, so if you want to get up to speed, go ahead and go watch that video. This week, being part 2, we're going to talk about how to fix your walkout. All right, guys, so part 1 of today's Fix Your Walkout series, we're actually going to cover two things. We're going to cover how we actually want to unrack the bar, and we're going to recap a little bit on last week's head positioning when unracking the bar, because that does carry over to today's video. So head position is pretty straightforward. Like I said, quick recap from last week. We want to make sure that when we're unracking that bar and getting ready to unrack that bar, that we maintain that head up position. I don't like to say head up, but head forward, eyes up. We're not necessarily looking straight up, but like I said last week, if we have that head down when we're unracking that bar, that's gonna dictate the angle of our torso, and our hips are gonna be behind us, which we don't want in a squat unrack, right? If I bring those eyes up, right, my hips are under me, I'm standing tall, which is gonna make for a really good unrack, or at least a good position to start our unrack. So going into the actual unrack itself for today, we wanna think of this almost like pulling slack out of the bar for our deadlift. But with the squat unrack, the harder that we push into the bar, the more tension we're gonna be able to create, right? So if I get under the bar like this, we see a lot of people do this. Probably the biggest mistake I see with a squat unrack is people will come under the bar here, will pop the bar out of the rack like that. This isn't gonna be very efficient for us when we get to heavy weights. You know, if you have 500, 600, 700 pounds on this bar, whatever, and you pop the bar out of the rack like that, that bar is gonna whip a lot, which is gonna make it really difficult for any lifter to maintain a good brace, right? So the more I create tension under this bar, right, the harder I spread out on that bar or pull that bar in, pull the bar down into me. Sorry, I can't talk today. So the harder I do that, and the more I focus on squeezing these glutes nice and slow while keeping that tension in my upper back, right, I'm gonna start to feel that tension into that bar there, and that bar is just gonna float out of the rack, okay? A lot more efficient than just popping the bar out of the rack, right? We want to push that tension out of the bar to unrack it. This is going to be a really good opportunity for people to eliminate a lot of inconsistencies in their setup, right? So we already talked about head position in the first video. That's probably one of the biggest inconsistencies I see with the squat setup and walkout, right? So same rule applies with head position on the walkout. We want to make sure that we keep those eyes straight forward to eliminate any rounding in the upper back. But in terms of like actually walking out the weight itself, we see a lot of inconsistencies with the number of steps that are taken, how those steps are taken, and then the amount of time it takes a lifter to actually set their feet to get ready to execute the squat. So we have a pretty straightforward process to fix that for you guys. The first step in that, we're going to talk about a 3-step walkout. So like I said in the first video, we have those feet set just inside shoulder width apart. This is going to make sure that I'm in a good position, almost like an easy position for me to step back, right? We talked about having those feet super wide, how uncomfortable that could be. So feet just inside shoulder width apart, right? 3 steps, right? 1 step back, 2 step back, and then that 3rd step, we're gonna step out to the side just a little bit, because if I need to widen my stance out, then I'm gonna need to step out at some point. So it's good if that last step is the step out, because if I'm walking this weight backwards, right, I wanna make sure I'm eliminating any side-to-side movement here, right? It's gonna make it difficult for me to maintain this brace up top and to keep those hips stacked underneath me. So, right, step back, we got very, very minimal dipping and side-to-side movement in that bar, and then we're gonna step out, and then from there we're gonna get ready to set our feet, right? So I already talked about head position, right? We wanna make sure that we're maintaining that eye forward position as best as possible. If I have a lifter that's gonna feel the need to look down at some point during the walkout, I would prefer, if possible, that we do that look down when we're trying to set our feet, right? If we can keep those eyes up when we're walking out, best case scenario, look down when we need to set the feet. So now that we're actually at the point of the walkout where we're gonna set our feet, right, we're gonna show you a really easy way to do this. I've even struggled with this in the past, where I feel the need to Gotta do some happy feet stuff here. I'm kind of dancing around. So really, really easy way to fix this. When we're walking the weight out, we want to make sure that our feet are pointed straight forward, right? So I'm stepping back, feet straight forward, stepping back, feet straight forward, right? You get the picture, right? So that way when I'm getting ready to set my feet, I'm getting to reset that rooting, right? Really, really easy here. So my feet are straight forward. Now all I have to do is drag my heels in to push my feet into that position that I want them in terms of, right, how flared my feet are. And I'm dragging my feet into that rooted position, right? We talked about big toe pressure and pushing the heels together, right? So feet are straight forward here, right? Big toe pressure, push those heels together, one at a time. There, my feet are in the position that I want them to be in, and I've re-secured my rooting. Now I'm in a good position to actually execute the squat. All right guys, so we're just gonna tie all those steps together to show you a nice fluid walkout for the squat. So here, tension into that bar, right? Pulling that bar down into me, pushing into the bar more and more. Nice controlled pick out of the rack. My eyes stay up. 1, 2, 3 steps. Twist my heels in. Now I'm ready to set up for the squat, which I'm not gonna do. So that concludes our video for the day on walking out a squat efficiently. Next week, we're gonna actually dive into executing the squat, some of my favorite cues for the squat, and so on and so forth. If you guys have been enjoying these videos, please feel free to drop suggestions for future videos. If you want to know more about how I train, you want to train similar to how I train, keep an eye out for my train along program that we're going to be releasing next Friday. Until then, see you guys next time.